It is me. It is I. I am the greatest there is, the greatest there was, and the greatest there ever will be. I am greatness personified. Myself. Yes, yes, yes. Stoney greatness. And I am. Oh,
Oh, they couldn't wait. They
oh,
love you.
oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, they
Thank
really
you.
love you.
Thank you. Oh, sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Shut up.
Okay, Richard Simmons. That's not Richard Simmons. Little Richard. Okay, Richard Simmons.
And I am here with the man of the hour, the myth, the legend, the entertainer, the educator, the empowerer, the conqueror, the enchanter, the philanthropist, the author, the activist. He is the man with the crown. So show some respect first and bend the knee, all right? Because they come from all across the world to see the man who wears the crown that hangs 2 inches from the ground, right? He is your king. He is king.
Wait, he's my king too.
He is my king. He is King Kevyn.
For me? Oh, thank you. What's up, everybody? King Kevyn and Stoney GreatMines Show on the GreatMines Show. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Welcome
to another wonderful Sunday afternoon. Hopefully, you guys are ready for an amazing show because we are ready to go.
Yes.
We got some really good topics that we just have to bring out.
Yes.
Stoney, let's jump right in.
All right. So we are going to take it to the church, all right, because you like the church, all right? And
I did.
You used to be a pastor.
Right? I used to be.
Yeah, believe it or
youth
not.
Pastor.
Yeah, youth pastor. So when he was a youth, okay, not like recently when he's not a youth.
That was a dig. That was a dig.
It's not a dig.
But it's okay.
It was an important clarification because we don't
No, because there are people in their 40s that are youth pastors. Okay. I know.
All right. In the Catholic Church?
Anyway.
But yeah, so we're gonna go to church. That was a dig, but
and not at me.
No, not at him. So yeah, so now we're gonna talk about it, and it's mainly a pastor who has been in the news as of late.
Before you get into that,
yeah,
you know, a lot of people in church and in ministry, they don't clout chase. They're not looking for like their 10 minutes of fame or whatever, what have you. Even down to those mega church pastors. You know, they have tele-evangelistic services or other programs. Hell, T.D. Jakes has movies and books, and he's not the only one. But most pastors would want to avoid being in a public eye for anything negative. And this pastor / bishop has been frequenting social media as well as the news with the things that's been going on in his life. So you want to start with a background? Or you want to go right into what happened?
So, well, let's start with, we're going to be talking about Bishop Lamor Whitehead.
Yeah.
Okay. And for those of you that may not be familiar with him, you may have heard a story a few months ago that we kind of touched on.
Yeah.
Where, we saw a pastor during his recorded sermon, his internet streamed service or sermon, get robbed.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big thing because it was like, oh my gosh, these people ran up in a church and robbed this pastor. All right, and it was got a lot of sympathy and everything, kind of sorta. All right,
yeah, kind of sorta, because I didn't have sympathy.
Right. No,
I actually didn't pay two seconds worth of attention to it. I heard about it, said, oh, what the hell?
Right, because I mean, if you do a little digging on this guy. And we'll touch on it a little bit later, but the things that he was doing in the time that we're in right now, it's it is what it is. But recently he's back in the news after he's back in the news and everything for manhandling a lady during one of his sermons.
Oh, so I just got so much more information about this man and what in this situation. So yeah, what happened now?
So during one of his sermons, I believe it was a young lady disagreed. I think there was a disagreement with him or what he was saying or something about something that he'd done, and she decided to use that opportunity to speak up about it to both him and his wife. The young lady can be seen in the video, and the video is all out there over the internet. You can go to any of your social media gossip places that focus on the Black community, and it will be there. And you see the young lady, stating her comments, and then she walks towards the pastor's wife, and the pastor's daughter apparently was there as well. And then you see the pastor come from behind her and literally like grab her and manhandle her. And so, a lot of backlash has happened because of that, because you're supposed to be a man of God. You're supposed to be an example, a leader, of a flock, if you will.
Now, I want to chime in, because something that I learned earlier in my life and in ministry is that at the end of the day, the pastor is just as human as the person who just walked in off the streets. You take on the responsibility of leadership. You're held at a different regard because of that. But I learned that they're still human, and we all succumb to our temptations, our emotions, our frustrations sometimes. And I'm not saying that this is everybody all the time, but we all have those moments where we're still human and we indulge in being human. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you're not hurting a person, if you're not robbing people, X, Y, and Z. Pastor Lamore, Whitehead, I'm about to say Whitfield. We'll get to Whitfield in a little bit. But Whitehead is someone who, let's just read about him real quick. Lamar Miller hyphen Whitehead is a religious and community leader in Brooklyn, New York. Whitehead is a convicted felon, according to Wikipedia. Is known for his close relationship with New York City Mayor Eric Adams and his ostentatious display of wealth. So now, again, I didn't read that to say that we ought to judge this man by his past. We should judge this man by his current actions, right? This man has some issues, allegedly. Now, he don't know me. I don't know him. I'm pretty sure if I dug deep enough, I could find somebody that I know who knows him. I'm more than sure I can. But this is somebody who not only takes pride in his millions and being flashy and flaunting. And Stoney and I had this conversation about people in ministry who do have nice things. It's like, okay, you know what? Some of these people, like I know a pastor specifically who he and his wife, they both work. They make a good salary and they take care of the church, whereas some people have the church taking care of them. And if they're full-time ministry, I don't have a problem with a person driving around in a nice car if this is what they do for a living. Like they're not just preaching on Sunday, but they're doing counseling. They're out in ministry in the streets day to day. Like these are people who dedicated their life to service to people. They don't work a 9 to 5. They don't clock in a regular job like most people do. I'm not upset with that. It's when your congregation is struggling. It's when your congregation don't have, and we saw that one minister who got upset when they didn't buy him a certain pair of shoes or a bag that he wanted, and he's trying to like rebuke everybody from the pulpit. That's something totally different. But someone who just has it because they either worked hard for it or because they're supported in the congregation is great. Live your best life. But to flaunt this wealth, I remember people used to talk about Creflo Dollar, but this man here is a total different level of, because it's not even, you're going to be blessed, you're going to be rich, I'm blessed. That's a whole nother situation. This man went as far as to put, so the other article that I just pulled up, which is through the Daily News that reads, a woman who was arrested after clashing with Brooklyn Bishop Lamar Whitehead during his Sunday service says she is the real victim and accused the minister of attacking her as she prayed. This man, if you haven't seen the video, we're not going to play it because I don't have it right now. Do you mind if I just grab by the back of her neck and forced her out while live streaming in front of everybody?
With congregants in the church.
Yeah, there were people in the church when he manhandled this woman. I don't think there's any situation where this man had to leave his post behind the podium, step down, and put his hand on anybody, male or female, and push them out the church. I do believe in certain circumstances you might need security in the church. We've heard of people being like churches being shot up. It's not ideal. You don't think you're going to have to deal with that when you go into your place of worship, but we know things happen in the world that we live in. There was no security. There weren't any armor bearers or adjutants. The pastor himself. Now, you could hear the audio. And I was waiting to hear what she did that upset him so much, because he was like, oh, you can take the pictures. He kept replying and repeating, you can take the pictures, take the pictures, take the pictures. You can tell that he was getting indignant with whatever was upsetting him. I don't want to speculate because I wasn't there, but it sounded very personal because from what we could see and what we could hear, there was no justification for his actions. We always say, oh, well, you don't know what happened before they started recording. This is very true. But what we can see is that no one else put their hands on him. No one came into his physical space. His story is that she went towards his wife and daughter.
And he was protecting his wife and daughter. He held a press conference with one reporter. It's not a press conference with one reporter.
It was an interview.
It's an interview. But let him tell it was a press conference. And while wearing a Fendi sweater.
Of course. If that's all he has in his
big old Rolex.
If that's all he has in his closet.
Ring, big old, gold chain, Again,
if that's all he has in his closet, then okay. But what he's saying right now and what we saw isn't adding up.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know. Now, was she being disruptive? Maybe, yeah. She was being disruptive. Did it warrant you putting your hand on her? No. And at the end of the video, he's like, grab her. But the only person that was grabbing her was him. There's a protocol that we have in church. I remember when I was a little kid, and I know it's across the board at most churches. Well, my great aunt is a pastor, and when she had what we call our healing and deliverance ministry services, where people would line up in the middle aisle and she would pray for people, people would start shouting, be slain in the spirit, all that good stuff. If it was a woman that she was praying for, there will be women that will stand behind her. If the woman passed out, they put a little prayer cloth over her. If she started jumping around, they created a barrier. Under no circumstances was there ever any of the deacons or the male elders on that woman. And the same would be true if it was a man. I know people are a little bit more lenient when it comes to men, but that was just some of the protocols we learned in church. The same is mostly true when you look at police. It should be anyway. Law enforcement. When a police officer arrives to an altercation or situation and it's violent and it happens to be a woman, if they can, there's going. I mean, a lot of times it can't be, depending on what's going on, how serious it is. But if it's a situation that's under control, but they need to search this woman or whatever the case, the protocol would more than likely be get a female officer to come and handle that situation. So that way you can't say sexual harassment or anything happened that was not supposed to be. It was appropriate. It was above the board the entire time. I say the same is true in this situation. If this woman was such a threat, it looked like the majority of the congregation were women anyway. So why couldn't, if this was such a threat, why couldn't one of these women or multiple of these women stop her or grab her or take her away or calm her down? Whatever the case may have been, what was the justification for you to put your hands on this lady? So he did his press conference. This woman has been arrested, but she is definitely a victim, in my opinion, allegedly.
As do I. And, I think that that Bishop Whitehead should definitely, be a topic of conversation, because there's so many layers
What do you?
to his whole
Yeah.
situation.
What do you think should happen in the situation? Like, you think this is a situation where we should boycott his church and his ministry? Should he be arrested for assault? Should we say, okay, this happened, sweep it underneath the rug? Okay, don't do this again, Bishop Whitehead. Like, how do you feel about that?
I think that with everything that is going on, everything that has happened with this man thus far, where and I'm a believer in the old adage, where there's smoke, there's fire. Okay. With everything that has been going on, there has to be something there, that is illegal, because I genuinely feel that if you are doing good things, there's no reason for you to there would be no reason for you to be as defensive, and in the particular situations that he's been in, where he's getting robbed, where he has people verbally speaking out against him in his congregation.
That means he's doing something that he shouldn't be doing,
right, in some way, shape, or form. So I definitely think that some sort of government agency, let it be the IRS or something, should investigate, because there's something shady that's going on there. So and if there isn't, then there isn't. If it's just,
I still feel like it may not be financial. Because there's a good chance that all of his books are in order when it comes down to finances.
True.
He's a convicted felon. He's done his time in jail already. He has that on his record. And I want to make sure that we're not judging him.
Right. No, everybody deserves a second chance.
I don't want to judge him by that. But what I am going to say is, sometimes you just learn to cut corners sometimes, or sometimes you treat people badly, or you don't treat people the way they should. I think someone that is as proud and haughty as he is, and you church people will understand that those terms. I think that you definitely stepped on people. I think you definitely push people down. You make people feel bad about themselves if they're not wearing $1 million worth of jewelry at church or wearing designer clothes. I just there's something, whether it's a crime or just bad ethics. Right. There's something going on with that man.
And the thing about it is, like, a pastor is only as strong as his congregation will allow them to be. And so with that, you have to ask the folks that are in the congregation and that support him, both financially and emotionally and spiritually and everything, because as a congregate, you do all of that for your pastor. Is that the person that you honestly feel like, is that the person who you want to lead the way? Because the pastors are supposed to be leaders of the way.
And again, they're not always perfect, and that's fine. And that's when you cover them. That's when you pray for them when they have a moment of weakness that, maybe they lost control, but it wasn't something super severe where there could be legal ramifications.
Right. And in my opinion, there's been too much shady stuff. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it is not a bison. Okay. So it is a duck. So we have to look at it and trust it for what it is. There has been a lot of shady things that are going on. And to me, and this is me personally, because I grew up with a certain kind of example of how a pastor should be. And to me, he doesn't walk the walk for me. He's not an example.
See, that's a gray area for me. That's a gray area.
And to each his own. Yeah, it's a gray area. To each his own. You know what I mean? Like, for me, the example that I was brought up with and was set for me, as far as the pastor is concerned, he does not jive with. So I would not be a member of his congregation. Right. You know what I mean?
Because clearly he has church members and they have been around him, so they support him. So somebody agrees with what he's done or what he's doing.
Right. And my point is, I put the question to them, is that, like, and just look at it. Take a step back from this being your pastor and look at everything that has transpired in your church over the past year. is that a church environment that you can honestly say is good for you or good for anyone there? I don't know fully. From the outside looking in, it does not.
Well,
I don't know because I'm not in there, and I give, you know what I mean. But the people that are there do have to question that.
And what I would say, as a former youth pastor, that each person, so the Bible says, work out your own soul salvation. Each person has the responsibility to examine the ministries that they go to see if this is where I'm going to grow, where I'm going to learn what needs to be learned spiritually, and it's going to help me be a better person. This is the ministry. And if his values and views line up with yours, then sure, by all means, that's your church. And this is for, I know more people watch this than that are in Brooklyn, New York. Wherever you are, make sure that you're somewhere where you can grow, whether that's a church, maybe it's sitting at home watching TD Jakes on a video on TV or something. Maybe that's meditation, whatever that is. You got to find that out for yourself. So for those people who do support, I guess I'm a little bit curious too, for those who do support him, what values of yours do you have that line up with his? But I'd like to take a trip from Whitehead to Whitfield.
Yes. Let us go down to Atlanta.
Yes, from Brooklyn to Atlanta.
Yes. So, as you guys know, back on September 4th, the season finale,
which we did not talk about this show at all.
Right, because I have ever since I moved out from my mom, I've been so detached from Real Housewives of Atlanta.
I said to Kevin, yeah. I binged the 14th season. I'm just waiting for the final reunion now.
So I'm gonna go and binge it, and then we'll do a whole season wrap up. How about that?
Oh,
so yeah,
there's so much to be said.
Oh wow, I can't wait to dig into.
Oh my gosh! But in all of this, one of the original OGs
who left
and came back, and then left,
got the peach taken.
Yeah.
All right.
She is infamously known as the Bone Collector. And Chateau Sheree.
Jogger
we didn't get to Sheba Sheree. We're talking about Chateau.
Yeah.
Her chateau that took, I don't know how many years to build, and she was
around 10.
She was being clowned for that because she didn't have, and like the girls played her so badly because she did not have. And I think it's mostly Sheree's fault because she's a big talker, and she talks up these big things and these big visions. And apparently, she really does have visions and plans and goals to do a lot of these things, but she put the cart before the horse most of the time, and it makes her look really bad. So along with Chateau Sheree, she also has Sheba Sheree. Joggers. It's what is it? Spring, summer, September.
Joggers.
That's when it's coming out.
Joggers.
And she's been asked multiple times
about these joggers.
When are you... No. When are you going to drop Sheba Sheree joggers? And finally, season 14, season finale, she hosts a fashion show. Dwight was there because he made jokes about her last time. Said, "You have a fashion show with no fashion." She actually had fashion. She was concerned that she was only going to have 5 pieces at this fashion show. But in the 9th hour, her shipment came in with all of her pieces. And it was actually a fun fashion show to watch. They actually played the fashion show on the show. And some people were not too excited about it.
No. So shortly after the season finale aired and people really got a chance to dig into Sheba Sheree and go to the websites and see it and everything else like that, people started to, call her out. For lack of a better words, for copying designs by Shein and Amazon. There are literally, you can go out there and look at them, folks. There are literally side-by-side photos of Sheba Sheree garments next to the same, not the same exact garment, but very much the same garment.
Variation
from
of
Amazon, and there's more from Shein.
So I do have a statement to that though, because she says something that is actually very true. There's something called private label, or open label more so, where I could go on to like Alibaba, find a product, slap my label on it, and sell it as mine. And I guess on some level, this is what she kind of admitted to doing. This is what she did. She has some designs that, she saw, she liked. She said, okay, I want that to be part of my collection. And people are reading her for that. She also brought up another good point. So, people are prone and apt to want to clown her or to diss her, but she made up a good point. A lot of designers will outsource that work to other people and then put their name on it and call it their own. It happens in the fashion industry a lot.
Yes.
So why do people make it a bad thing for her when she does it?
I think that it was more or less the way, again, like you said, she talks a big talk. And the thing with Sheree is that she suffers from what I call hot air balloon mouth. She brings out this idea, which is the balloon, and then she fills it up with a whole bunch of hot air, and then there's nothing to secure the balloon, so it just goes like and it just you know what I mean? Like that's what happened. She made these promises, and she's going to have this, and she's going to have that, and
I feel like
I think that she took the path with least resistance, which is okay.
I think on some level she is Sheree, but I think she clout chases. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at all the other girls, almost every season they're doing something big, and she wants to save face, so she ends up saying, "Oh, I'm going to do that." Now she got to cash the ticket that her tongue then wrote for her, and that's why it's taken forever, because I don't think she really had plans to be a designer and have a fashion line. She put her foot in her mouth years ago, and now she has to cash that ticket.
Right.
I think, and that's why every time
with Chateau Sheree.
Exactly. But when she did it, she had to showboat it because she put her foot in her mouth. She said, "This is what I'm going to do," and now years later, because people keep her feet to the fire. And another thing I think is because she's back on the show, she needs to do it. Like you got to be doing something, because the years that she wasn't on the show, people still talked about it, but wasn't nobody really checking for Sheree.
Right. And I don't want to diminish the accomplishment of a Black woman. I don't want anybody to say, "Oh, y'all not supporting, Black women and her accomplishments." At the end of the day, she made it. She made her dream of having her own clothing line come true. You know what I mean? She grind, and that, in my opinion, that is what we can take from this story and try to apply it to ourselves. You know what I mean? Because I think that we all end up in a situation where we Sheree ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
We coat, a turd in gold and, try to pass it off as something valuable. But the thing about it is that you got to be able to push through,
right?
The adversities and the hurdles and stuff like that. And you got to be able to shake off the haters, because at the end of the day, She by Sheree is a thing. We're talking about it. People are going to go look it up. People are going to go buy things, and buy the products just because. Who cares? Who cares? Because at the end of the day, she's making money. She made her dreams come true, because she pushed through all of the BS and all of the hate and everything else like that in order to accomplish a goal. I think that if we took anything from this situation with Sheree, is that single-mindedness and that singular focus on achieving the goal is something that we should all take from that, and we should all praise Sheree for having that ability, because not a lot of people have that ability to maintain focus no matter how long it takes. Okay, 14 years, because She by Sheree was mentioned on season 1 of Housewives of Atlanta. 14 years later, okay, we have saw the fruits of her labor with her house. 10 years later, we saw the fruits of that
sometimes labor. It's a slow burn.
Yes, and it doesn't. It is a slow burn, and you got to keep pushing. Sheryl Lee Ralph. She recently got an Emmy. How about that? Shout out to Philly Connection.
Yes.
So she won an Emmy finally. I thought that she deserved the Emmy for her role on Moesha. She was the nuclear Huxtable, like on Moesha.
Well,
like
on Moesha, yes, she definitely was, yes.
when I think her performance on that show was probably the most powerful performance of anybody on that show. She always did the darn thing, like in her scenes and everything.
Yeah.
Should have got an Emmy for that, in my opinion.
I mean, she knows what she's doing.
So, and she pushed through. She kept pushing through. From Dreamgirls all the way through Abbott Elementary. Got her flowers finally from everybody. Oprah, Beyonce, everybody.
Yeah, because she deserved it. Literally flowers too.
Yeah. So that is what you want to take from this situation.
As a slow burn.
Right.
That's the overdue burn for us, Shirley Ralph, though. Like you said, she should have been received that.
Right.
She put in the work. She produces.
But she kept pushing through. And that's my point. Like, from this situation, the thing that matters, granted, Sheree may not be as creative as she may think that she is. Or that the line is, anything is going to be, the new Lululemon or whatever, or whatever the jogger,
so,
but she kept pushing through and made her dream come true.
People are calling it She by Shein, or She by somebody else, but not Sheree. I'm looking at some things right here, and literally, like what I see is the same outfit with one detail different. Sheree, keep pushing. Congratulations. You just launched.
You did it.
Keep pushing.
Do what you do.
I think over time, because when you first start something, it's not its best. You got to build it over time, and you start to come out with some of your even better things. Some people come up with some dope stuff from the jump, but it still gets better with time. And I think with Sheree, keep pushing, girl. You got this.
Yes. And Kanye just left Gap, so there may be an opportunity there.
Keep pushing.
Dream is good dream, but good for Sheree for launching that.
Yes.
And hey, if it's somebody else's, then it's somebody else's. So
I mean, look at Beyonce. She uses other people's music all the time.
Yeah, she gives people credit after
being called out
for not. But hey,
I mean, well, come on, let's stop acting like this is the first album that Beyonce's did. She used someone else's music that she did not say, "Hey, this is." Yeah. Anyway,
don't know that the Beehive.
My point.
Y'all know I don't mind y'all stings, but
my point to that is, imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point.
Yes.
Anyway,
right. So
Beehive F me.
So speaking of flattery, it's okay. I fight the Beehives. I loves it. I loves the Beehive hate. But speaking of
yeah, work that one in.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure
just
out
get into the story. Yeah.
So we're gonna move on into
it was
another.
Cute.
Yeah, tried to segue, but no. But yeah, so moving on into a sticky situation, from a sticky situation to a stickier situation, if you will.
Yeah.
How's that? Bobby Shmurda has been on social media as of late. Okay. Mainly because of a video that has come out with him in bed with what appears to be two guys. Now, people are extrapolating on that. Okay. In my opinion, there may be one guy in there, in addition to Bobby, but there's at least one guy in there, with that one guy being Bobby Shmurda. So, and the reason why it has been making the rounds is because it was shared by a, I'm not sure if he's a social media celebrity person or a social media influencer or anything, but it was shared by a guy by the name of Xavier Raza. Okay. Who, he basically, makes known in the post that we're going to be talking about that he is gay, but he posted the video as a harmless joke. Basically, he posted the video saying that was him in the bed with Bobby Shmurda. So apparently this was, a harmless joke on his part because he released a statement on his social media, basically apologizing to Bobby Shmurda, his fans, stating that it was a harmless joke and he didn't realize that it would shake the internet. But yeah, because both him and Bobby Shmurda have been getting a lot of backlash as of late through social media with, according to them, death threats and all types of things, calling into question Bobby Shmurda's sexuality, and a lot of things, because it's 2022 and we still care about people's sexuality because it directly affects our everyday lives. But
I'm here, y'all. I'm just looking at some more stuff about this story.
Yeah, because it's a crazy story, and I think that it's a story that I think is getting old because regardless of what anybody likes, at the end of the day, what does it matter? That's my point.
So that's basically the response that some people are giving. Like, okay, why are we concerned about who he's in bed with? That's his business, and nobody's exposed. Someone said, "You're not exposing him. He put the video out. The video initiated from Bobby Shmurda." Now the issue is, Xavier says it wasn't me. I was just trying to, play. It was a harmless joke, or he intended for it to be a harmless joke, and it got blown out of proportion. I don't know. Like, I feel like we talk about the freedom of speech a lot, but is that defamation of character on Bobby's part? Because it does affect Bobby. Now, yes, 2022. Who cares who you're in bed with? But there are people who do, and people who will stop your bag because they are some hateful, evil people. But it is a legitimate concern of an artist whose fan base is straight women, mostly, or straight men, because I know straight men buy his stuff as well, his music as well. So I get the image thing, and entertainment really is all about image. So yeah, I can see how this would affect a person's. I think the reason why it caught traction is because it was almost valuable. It was almost like, oh, because I saw it and I believed it. The guy that posted, I didn't take time to examine the picture too much. It was a light-skinned person with all this hair. The person that posted is a light-skinned person with all this hair. It looked like it could have been him just hiding his face. But it wasn't. So I don't know. I think people should be more careful when they do stuff like that. I don't know that I am upset at all with Bobby Shmurda, who did respond to this, who said, "This is why y'all still broke after all these years. You spend your time on BS and cap to make y'all feel better. Tap into reality and get you some shmoney."
Which is, I think, a blanket response to everyone, not specifically this person. I don't think that Bobby Shmurda has anything,
He actually never said anything about the whole,
never said anything about the person
bashing
or
gay
anything
people
else like that.
or the person who actually made these statements. I think it was more response to, one, clear his name, number one, two, respond to people that are kind of like hating on him. So he's not Aries Spears, or who was the other guy we talked about last week?
What was that? Plies?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Plies. It was somebody else. Because he was in the sports guy, the athlete.
Oh, Anthony Edwards or something like that.
Yeah, like him. Because we compared him to J. Alphonse Nicholas, and how he's a supporter of our community, and I think the way Bobby Shmurda handled this situation was very good, in my opinion, because he could have been like a Plies, he could have been like a Boosie.
Yeah, he could have took the regular,
Black gangster rapper type of response.
Yeah, I ain't with that gay shit, you know what I mean, stuff like that and everything, or everything, but or preface it by no homo or stuff like that, But he, basically responded to the general public in regards to the overall arching arc of the comments that he was receiving in response to that particular video. and basically, everyone hopping on this lie, you know what I mean, and taking this lie and perpetuating it as truth when not knowing the full details or anything else like that. Because there's Bobby Smurda would know who he's in the bed with. Right. And it's up to him if he wants to tell us. He doesn't have to. I mean, granted, he put the video out there, which brings that question in.
But he wasn't telling us that.
Right.
So, yeah, he can tell us if that's what he wanted to tell us, if that was his truth. But
and honestly, the video, if he chooses to put out the video and that's all, then that's all. That's all we get. We are in no way entitled to an explanation as to who exactly are you in a bed with, Bobby Smurda.
I want to find this Xavier person, bring him on the show.
Yeah. I would love to talk with him and get, his mindset in. I mean, it's kind of a catfish situation, but not really.
Right.
Reminds me of like I said, I was having a conversation with Kevyn off, camera about the whole Manti Te'o situation. For those of you that don't know, that was a Notre Dame football player, former NFL football player who was catfished by a gentleman or a young guy back in those days. That gentleman has now transitioned to a woman now, who is now a woman. And there was a whole hoax going on as far as his girlfriend and his grandmother dying on the same night, and how that plays into this whole narrative as well, because you have people who are just, making things up, and then it actually affects people who actually buy into it. People bought into the fact that Manti Te'o's girlfriend existed, and so did he, and that hurt him. Just like people are buying into the fact that, Bobby Smurda was in bed with this man, even though that was not the case.
So interestingly, Xavier cleaned up his social media completely, and all he has on it is one post, which is his apology, which addresses that he didn't mean any harm. It was, like I said, it was a helpful, what he considered to be a harmless joke. But even more so, I'm looking at the comments, and there are a lot of people who support him and they encourage him. So, I pray for protection, because there are people who are still crazy and will give death threats. He has been receiving them. And it wasn't meant for all that. People go overboard with this stuff all the time. Like, calm down. Like, why is it that we can speak our mind freely, but then when someone else says something that we disagree with, we want to send them death threats? Like, especially somebody that's on another part of the world than you, or a different city than you, or whatever the case may be, that you'll never encounter in person otherwise. Why are we going out of our way to harm someone like that when he's apologizing? He didn't mean any harm by it. Even freaking Bobby Smurda, y'all know what I'm talking about. He even in that situation, he addressed it and he moved on. He didn't even acknowledge Xavier in this situation. So,
yeah. So yeah. Speaking of acknowledging people,
I have to acknowledge. You have to acknowledge. You have to acknowledge.
We are too big of drag fans, and if this is the first time that you are hearing about it, then hey, we are breaking an exclusive right here on the GreatMines Show. So if you haven't heard, and we follow people on James, we follow James on social media. And for those of you that don't know who James is the
season 2 winner of RuPaul's Drag Race,
yes,
also known as Tyra Sanchez.
Yes, and on his Instagram as of late for the past month? It's been a month or so, or a few weeks. It's been a couple weeks that he's been dropping these teasers that Tyra is coming back. Hashtag Kyng Tyra is what is on the.
I'm trying to remember what his social media name is off the top of my head.
Creative something. I sent it to you.
Okay, I'll go to it that way.
Instagram. Yeah.
So let's talk about the history of Tyra Sanchez. Just a really quick
creator
recap.
IV_.
Where is it at? Oh, I see it.
Yeah. So needless to say that Tyra Sanchez is on the way back, or hashtag King Tyra is on her way back from the dead. So Tyra Sanchez is back from the dead, season 2 winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, back from the dead after years of James, basically stating that he is no longer a she, doesn't want to be known as a she, doesn't want anything to do with the Drag Race franchise.
That's fair.
And totally left the drag world behind. I get it. Hey, these reality TV shows and these reality competitions are exactly what they are. They are competitions.
And they're a show at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's a show.
Who is it for us to judge somebody who comes into this show, plays the game by the rules, wins the game, and then decides to take the money and go and do whatever it is that they want to do? They were under no obligation outside of contractually to what they signed to be on the show with WoW, right, to be that drag persona outside of that show.
World of Wonders.
Yeah.
That's the production company that produces Drag Race under the Viacom.
World of Wonders, yep. And they, unless you have contractually obligated appearances with them, you are under no obligation to appear as your drag persona outside of RuPaul's Drag Race. Okay, that's not financially.
But after winning season 2, James, aka Tyra, did tour.
Yeah,
did shows as Tyra Sanchez, made appearances until things just blew up to a place where James said, "I'm done." James is a father. James lives his life as a man. And he wanted to get away from the entire drag world. And then he drops this video on his story introducing King Tyra, or Tyra's coming back. And when I saw that made me so happy. And I know, I'm almost more than sure we're not going to see a Tyra Sanchez on a RuPaul Drag Race All-Star anything. They just happen to have bad blood. But that doesn't mean that Tyra Sanchez can't still perform as Tyra Sanchez, the drag artist. I think that this is a wonderful thing. I'm super excited. I want to follow. I had the opportunity to meet Tyra and James, honestly, years ago at Fire Island. There was a Pride event. It was called Fire Island Blackout. I was working with a designer. I was part of a swimsuit fashion show that they were doing, which happened to be on the same main stage as Tyra's performance. So I was backstage with Tyra, got to meet James. We had conversations before, during, and after the event. Really cool, down-to-earth person. I enjoyed the company of Tyra. So, yeah, because this was before all the hate and people were trying to clown her. I'm like, well, why would people be so upset? She wasn't the friendliest person on the show, but she wasn't the worst either. Out of all the seasons, we've seen some people that's like, "Ooh, no." She worked hard and earned that win.
She did. I think that where people are, not fans is the amount of, because when she decided to, when James decided to remove himself from the whole drag, RuPaul drag family, it was very explosive, to say the least. And I think that a lot of fans who are emotionally invested in the whole franchise as a whole, felt slighted, because don't get me wrong, Tyra did win the season, and she was, she was a fan favorite. You know what I mean? She was very, very popular. I would go as far as to say that at the time of the show, granted, Raven, was dominating that. Raven, Jujubee, they were dominating that show. They were dominating that series, or that particular installment. But everyone saw Tyra, and it was like, that's a star. That is a star. Yeah. Not saying that Raven and Jujubee didn't scream star. They were like, yes, those are excellent, top of the line, world-class drag
top
queens.
3.
World-class drag queens. But Tyra Sanchez is a star. There's a difference. There's a difference there. especially, and I'm speaking from definitely a management standpoint and a business aspect, there is a difference between being a top-notch world-class drag queen and being a star. Okay. RuPaul, star. Okay. Jinx Monsoon, star. Okay. Like Raja, world-class drag queen. Granted, she's the queen of she already done had hers, is world-class drag queen, not a star. Okay. There's a difference. There's a difference. Okay.
That is true.
And the thing with, like I said, and that's why Tyra Sanchez won that season, because she was a star competing amongst world-class drag queens. And there's no shame in that. Not taking anything away from Raven. I am the first signature on Crown Raven as season 2 winner, so that we have a continuity, within the drag family, and it's all nice and wrapped up in a bow. But I understand that Tyra won.
You have those moments. You have those things in history. It's like, okay, that was the season that got away from us. We know that. If you've watched our show, we've had plenty of conversations about what should happen in to the season 2 crown.
Yeah,
we've had plenty of conversations about what should happen next. I'm just saying, Bianca Del Rio, you need to be hosting that show. RuPaul need to come in as like an advisor to the girls and let Bianca host the show, in my opinion. But anyway,
right. So I am excited. I mean, full disclosure, I met Tyra Sanchez at a ball in Atlanta, and sweet as pie, very, very nice. Took a picture with me. Let me take a couple pictures of her. It was very, very, very nice, very cordial. I did not have, and that's the only person from RuPaul's Drag Race that I've ever met in person.
I've met some.
So, that was a good experience. My
girl, Trinity K. Bonet.
Yeah. I've never met Trinity, but
Trinity is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Drag Race right now. We're talking about Tyra.
Right.
So let me pull it back in. Tyra, James, one way or another, we just want to say welcome back.
Welcome back. Yes.
We are. You already know your loyal fans and supporters are excited to see you come back as Tyra and give us that Tyra that only you can give us.
Right.
The other Tyra.
Now, real fast. All right. Say RuPaul does, what I mean? And say Tyra says, yeah, sure. But there has to be a lip sync triple threat smackdown for the season 2 crown between Raven, Jujubee, and Tyra. Who do you think is winning today? That lip sync.
I have not seen the evolution of. None of us have seen the evolution of Tyra, and I personally have not given that much attention to anything that Jujubee or Raven have been doing in the past 2 years. So I can't call that one, because they all are, like you said, it's a triple threat. All 3 of them are extremely talented, great lip sync artists, great drag performers. I don't know. I mean, maybe Tyra's rusty because she hasn't done it in a while. But I don't know. I really don't know. That's a good one. That's a question. Who do you guys think? Leave us a comment in the comment section. Who do you think would win a 3-way lip sync match between Tyra Sanchez, Raven, and Jujubee?
Yeah, let us know. So,
well, you got something else you want to hit on?
Well, no. I mean, yes, but not any topics.
Okay.
This was something that we were going to discuss with everybody.
Go for it.
Because as you guys know, it's Sunday, and this particular Sunday, we were supposed to be doing a broadcast from CMP. As you guys can plainly see, we're in our regular digs here.
Yeah, we're not in CMP.
We're not at CMP. We want to address that. Take a little moment to address that.
And 6 minutes.
Less than, and it's not going to take that long. I think that, or unfortunately, things as far as sponsorship wise, to be honest with you, didn't work out to where we could be there. That doesn't mean that we aren't supportive of the folks over at CMP. We love them very, very much. They are family.
Yeah.
We were part of the first CMP, so even though we're not going to be a part of the second CMP, We're still supporting from far away.
Right. This ain't one of those lotto situations where they just did me dirty, So that they did not do that at all.
We're gonna clear the air here.
I was just talking to one of the two today actually. So yeah, there's nothing but love and support for them. Things didn't go the way they had initially planned. And there's always that domino effect. If one thing falls out of place, it's easy for other things to kind of like follow suit.
Right.
But again, unfortunately, we are not there this year. They are still doing an event tonight, I think it is.
Yes, I think there is an event tonight. There was an event yesterday, and then
yeah, I think that's how it works.
Yeah, there was an event on Friday. No, there's an event on Friday, and I think there's an event. Saturday. Yes, Saturday.
Yeah, so
yesterday, and then there should be an event
tonight. So if you are in the Columbus area, definitely support still because they're still doing something if you're in that area. I know some people had already bought tickets and hotels and flights. We are happy that you guys supported them. Again, they're family to us. They're an extension of us, and we love them so much. So we want to make sure. Gear. Literally, both of us are wearing their shirts because we love them, and we want to support Kingfinity and what they're doing. They support us, and it's nothing but love. But that's not your last time to get a chance to encounter us. I'm taking a little bit of a break from public stuff until mid-November, unless you want to come through Halloween nights, which is the haunted house at Eastern State Penitentiary, now through November 12th. Every weekend that is. And you can always go on my website and purchase A Life of Lust, Memoirs of the Porn Star. Just go right here. Okay, see now I'm the one with the link. But go right there. That is not where the link is. The link go support. I really appreciate you guys for all of the love I've gotten over the year or so. With this book, the live readings I've done, the conversations I've had. I had somebody walk up to me on the street and start a conversation with me like I knew who he was. And he had to take a step and say, wait, okay, let me introduce myself. I'm a fan I appreciate those types of moments. And it just continues to grow and make me want to do more with and for you guys. So go ahead, follow that link, KevynM.com. Purchase your copy of A Life of Lust today.
Yes.
And we'll be back with more stuff. We were just having a conversation about some other things that we want to work on. Once we have it solidified, we will let you guys know we have something else that we want to do.
Lots in store, lots in the works behind the scenes, and it is all for getting this beautiful face out in front of y'all.
And this beautiful face being out in front of y'all is more so that I could entertain, educate, and empower. That's the name of the game. Helping people with those three things. If all my hearts and minds are clear, since it was a church service today, not service. Well, actually, it is church service today. It was fitting to talk about the whole pastor and stuff on this Sunday. So if all hearts and minds are clear, Stoney, you got anything you want to say to the lovely people?
Thank y'all for coming. God